Real people, real confessions, the stories you weren't supposed to hear. Welcome to Beyond Reddit Stories. I used to believe that when someone said they were working late, it actually meant they were working. Maybe that sounds naive now, but back then, I didn't question much. I was that girl who packed dinner for her boyfriend, waited up until midnight, and worried more about his sleep than my own. We'd been together almost 5 years. I trusted him more than I trusted myself. But lately, something had changed. It was in the way he looked at me like I was a distraction, not a priority. His phone suddenly had a password. His messages were business-related. His late nights became urgent meetings, and his excuses so painfully generic that they almost felt rehearsed. I remember one particular Wednesday. He came home past midnight, didn't kiss me, didn't ask how my day was. He just mumbled something about an emergency project and went straight to the shower, and I sat there on the edge of the bed, staring at the bathroom door, my heart pounding not from jealousy, but from certainty. I knew something was off, something ugly, something hidden, and I couldn't keep pretending. So the next evening, instead of waiting at home like I always did, I followed him. And that's when everything I thought I knew about our love, about us, started to fall apart, and strangely enough, that was the moment I truly woke up. Before everything started unraveling, I wasn't anyone extraordinary. I worked a regular 9-to-5 job at a small accounting firm, not glamorous, not terrible. I had my routines: morning coffee from the same corner shop, grocery runs every Sunday, occasional wine nights with my friends when we could match our schedules. My life was comfortable, stable, predictable, and for a long time, I thought that was enough. He and I met at a friend's birthday party. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, just two slightly awkward people standing too long by the snacks. We clicked quietly, the kind of connection that felt peaceful instead of explosive. I never believed in soulmates or fireworks, and honestly, I didn't need them. I just needed someone I could laugh with, someone who felt safe. We moved in together after 2 years. We built a life that looked good from the outside, and in many ways, it actually was. We split chores, saved up for vacations, planned a small future with a dog, maybe a house outside the city if we ever had enough. Our families liked each other. Our friends joked we made relationships look easy. We weren't dramatic or overly passionate, but we were steady, like a quiet river. I was never the jealous type. I didn't snoop through his messages or track his every move. I trusted him because I truly believed that's what healthy adults do, and I thought he respected that trust. Until I started noticing little deviations. Late nights used to be rare, now they were weekly. His smile when he saw me used to feel warm, then it slowly turned distant, almost polite. He brushed off my questions with humor, and I laughed along because the alternative was confronting the possibility that something was wrong. I guess that's what I want people to understand. I wasn't overly dramatic or clingy or paranoid. I was just someone who believed in her partner, someone who genuinely thought love didn't always need constant reassurance. I was just a normal person trying to build a normal life. And that's exactly why what happened next felt like such a betrayal, not just of our relationship, but of everything I had quietly trusted about love, loyalty, and who I thought we were. That Friday, I left work earlier than usual. I couldn't focus on spreadsheets or emails anymore because a different kind of calculation had consumed me, one where the numbers didn't add up. The hours he claimed to be busy versus the actual workload he had been assigned. The sudden smell of someone else's perfume on his jacket. The tiny lipstick stain I convinced myself was a smudge of sauce until it happened twice. I waited downstairs near his office, sitting in my car with the engine off. Every minute felt heavier. Around 6:45 p.m., I saw him exit the building, not looking tired, not carrying his laptop, not even glancing back like someone who forgot something important. He looked calm, too calm. He got into his car, and I started mine, staying a few lengths behind. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the steering wheel with both just to keep control. He didn't drive toward home or anywhere near our usual spots. Instead, he turned into a quiet street full of cafes, the kind of place we used to go on anniversaries. I parked a safe distance away and watched as he got out with a small gift bag in his hand. I actually laughed out loud in the car, a dry, disbelieving laugh, because apparently he had time to shop for gifts at work now. The moment he walked into that little café, I followed on foot, my heart hammering out of my chest. It felt like I was walking into a nightmare I hadn't fully accepted yet. My palms were sweating, my legs shaky, but I pushed open the cafe door and scanned the room. There he was sitting across from her. She looked younger than me, stylish, laughing at something he'd just said. His face was brighter than I'd seen in months. He looked happy. He reached across the table and touched her hand. That was the moment something inside me shattered so quietly, I almost didn't feel it, just a dull, cold numbness spreading across my chest. I didn't walk up to them. I just stood behind a pillar, watching like some ghost in my own life. I watched him give her the gift bag. She opened it, smiled, leaned over, and kissed him. Not a quick goodbye peck, an actual kiss. My knees almost buckled. I had imagined possibilities, maybe a coworker, a misunderstanding, a business dinner, but watching that kiss erased any excuse I might have made for him. I left the cafe, went back to my car, and sat completely still for long minutes. No crying, no yelling, just total silence, like my brain had pulled the plug on every thought and feeling to keep me from collapsing. But that silence didn't last. Rage started boiling up. Not dramatic movie rage, but the kind that builds slowly and erupts in the most dangerous way, calm and clear. I wasn't going to be the quiet, understanding girlfriend anymore. I wasn't going to be the one who waited at home while he played house with someone else. So I went back inside. I walked straight toward their table. I remember the exact look on his face when he saw me: shock, guilt, fear, and something else. Annoyance. Like I had ruined his night. She froze, looking between us like a frightened animal. I didn't yell. I didn't slap anyone. I simply asked him, in the most controlled voice I've ever had in my life, "Is this what overtime looks like now?" He looked like a child caught stealing, sputtering excuses. "This isn't what it looks like. We were just talking. She's a friend from work." But I had already seen everything I needed. I turned to the girl and said, "He forgot to mention he's been living with someone for the past 3 years. Surprise." I walked out again. This time, I didn't wait in the car. I just kept walking, block after block, until my feet ached and the numbness turned into something else: clarity. The clarity that my relationship was over, that the life I thought I had been building was a lie, and that I had just stepped into the hardest chapter of my adult life. The night after I confronted him at the cafe, I didn't go home. I stayed at a friend's place, a friend I hadn't reached out to in months because I'd been so wrapped up in my perfect relationship. She didn't ask for details. She just poured me a glass of wine, handed me a blanket, and let me sit in silence until I was ready to speak. And when I finally did, I told her everything. Every lie I'd ignored, every excuse I accepted, every time I chose peace over truth. She didn't pity me. She just looked at me and said, "You know this isn't the end. It's the beginning, but it's going to hurt like hell before it gets better." And she was right. The next morning, he called me nonstop. Texts, voicemails, even emails. At first, he denied everything. Then he started apologizing. By evening, he was blaming me, saying I was emotionally distant, that I stopped trying, that I made him feel unwanted. It was like watching someone drown in their own guilt and trying to drag me down with them. But something inside me had shifted. I wasn't begging for answers anymore. I didn't want him to explain why I wasn't enough. I finally understood it wasn't about me being enough. It was about him never being truthful to begin with. Then came the twist I never saw coming. 2 days later, the other woman messaged me on Instagram. At first I ignored it, but she sent a long paragraph saying she had no idea he was in a committed relationship. She thought he was single. He told her he lived alone, that his ex had moved out a long time ago. She said their relationship wasn't even casual. They'd been seeing each other for months, making plans for trips. He even mentioned maybe moving in together. She sent me screenshots, photos, conversations. He told her intimate details about his life, about how I was some crazy ex who couldn't let go. He played the victim to her the same way he was trying to play the victim to me. That was the moment everything snapped into a new kind of clarity. Not only had he betrayed me, he had been building 2 parallel realities, lying to each of us, painting himself as the wounded, misunderstood hero in both stories. He wasn't just cheating. He was rewriting me out of my own life. And here's where everything turned. I told her everything to our timeline. Photos of us celebrating anniversaries, even the apartment lease with both our names on it. She went completely silent. Then she said something I never expected. "Do you want to meet up?" And we did. We met at a small diner on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Two women who should have hated each other, sitting across from each other like survivors of a shipwreck. We talked for hours. We compared lies. We connected dots. We even laughed at how absurd it all was, the same lines he used on both of us. The same stories, the same nonsense excuses about working late. By the end of that conversation, I realized something. This wasn't about fighting over a man. It was about reclaiming our own stories. And strangely, what broke me now made me feel powerful. Because I wasn't alone and I wasn't crazy. She decided to end it with him immediately and block him. I told her I was done with him long before that conversation. But together, we decided to do one last thing, not for revenge exactly, but for closure. We crafted one final message to him, a single group text, both of us in it. We thanked him for lying so consistently that it brought two complete strangers together in solidarity. And then we both told him goodbye. And then we blocked him at the exact same time. I can't describe the feeling after that. It wasn't happiness, not yet. It was something deeper, the sense that I was finally taking my life back. That he no longer had power over my mind, my emotions, or my future. In the weeks that followed, the silence in my apartment was no longer frightening. It felt clean, like fresh air after a storm. I started doing small things just for myself, things I had forgotten I loved. I went back to reading late at night, not because I was waiting up for someone, but because I wanted to. I cooked meals for one and lit candles, not to impress anyone, but simply because it made me feel good. I went to the gym again. I reconnected with friends I hadn't spoken to in too long. And slowly I found myself smiling genuinely, quietly, unexpectedly. I didn't need some dramatic new romance, or a rebound, or revenge. My victory wasn't loud, it was peaceful. I realized I had spent so long being the understanding partner, the forgiving one, bending myself into shapes to keep the peace. And now, for the first time, I was choosing peace for me, not for us, just me. One morning, I woke up, opened the curtains, and felt something I hadn't felt in months: gratitude. Not just for the good things, but bizarrely, even for the betrayal. Because without that night, I wouldn't have woken up to how much of myself I had been neglecting. His betrayal forced me to choose myself, and that, strangely, became the best thing that could have happened to me. I still remember what my friend said. This isn't the end, it's the beginning, and she was right. I wasn't the broken girl who walked out of that cafe anymore. I was someone who saw the truth, faced it, and survived it, and even more, someone who used it as a turning point. So to anyone listening who's ever had that sinking feeling in their chest, or felt like they were losing themselves just to keep someone else, please hear this: you are not crazy, and you are not alone. Sometimes the worst heartbreaks are actually a painful kind of freedom, and once you step through it, you might just find the version of yourself you've been missing for years. If you've made it to this point in my story, thank you for listening, not just with your ears, but maybe even with your own memories. I know a lot of you out there have gone through something similar or are still carrying the weight of a truth you're scared to face. I hope this story reminded you that you're not alone in that. I'd honestly love to hear your story too. If you've ever been in a situation where you ignored the signs or finally confronted them, share it in the comments. You never know who might read it and feel less lonely because of you. If you want more stories told like this, raw, real, imperfect, but honest, hit the subscribe button. I tell these stories not because life is always painful, but because sometimes sharing the pain is how we start healing. And if this video helped you or made you reflect on something in your own life, consider giving it a like so it can reach someone else who might need it tonight. Thank you for being part of this space with me. Take care of your heart and never be afraid to choose yourself.